Hello everyone, my name is Curtis and I'll be conducting a dramatic video on Romans 14, 1 through 23. All right, let's begin. Romans 14, 1, Paul is instructing believers to welcome the ones that are struggling in faith. He wants the believers to know that it's not a contest and it's very important not to turn them away by arguing over practices that carry no significance. Paul realizes that it's a slow process to strengthen someone's faith, and he doesn't want them to fail when they're just getting started. Romans 14, 2 through 3, Paul uses an example of food to explain the differences in practice. Paul's point is the weak in faith shouldn't be judged well before they come to the fold, because God has already accepted them. Paul uses an example in Romans 14, 4, Paul is saying that no one has the right to judge. God is the one that will ultimately judge each person. Romans 14, 5 through 6, one person considers one day more sacred than another. Another considers each day alike. Each of them should be fully convinced in their own mind. Whoever regards one day as special does so to the Lord. Whoever eats meat does so to the Lord, for they give thanks to God, and whoever abstains does so to the Lord and gives thanks to God. Paul is explaining that no matter what you do or eat should be carried out in response to God while giving thanks and praise to Him. In Romans 14, 7 through 9, Paul is infusing the importance of understanding that our lives should be centered on Christ, no matter what situation. At the end of the day, we all belong to Christ. Believers recognize Christ as Lord through His death and resurrection, so everything in life we experience that is good should be dedicated to Him. Romans 14, 10 through 12, Paul is emphasizing that we shouldn't judge other believers because everyone will ultimately receive judgment from God. Judgment belongs to God, and every person will take accountability for their own actions. And in Romans 14, 13, Paul is telling believers to be careful of how our actions can influence another believer in a negative way. And then Romans 14, 14 through 16, Paul stresses that a bad action has consequences. And if a believer is doing bad, it's because they are troubled themselves. When believers act this way, they are teaching the opposite of love and can lead to bad results. Then Romans 14, 17 through 18, Paul makes it a point to address that God's kingdom is about love, righteousness, peace, and joy, which comes from the Holy Spirit. Reflecting on Jesus, and then acting out His teachings is what God is looking for in us. God is looking for us to lead by good examples, not bad examples. Romans 14, 19 through 21, Paul is telling us that we should promote peace and love and be responsible for lifting each other up, not tearing each other down. A simple way to address the situations is to not let simple issues become bigger than they seem. And don't let issues like food get in the way of the believers conducting God's good works that we're all tasked to do. Romans 14, 22 through 23, Paul is saying some things are just best to keep to yourself. And if they are troubling you that bad, then pray on it. Ask God to help you with understanding and the strength to have patience. Be the example to promote good and not bad. Again, my name is Curtis. Thanks for watching my dramatic video on Romans 14, 1 through 23. God bless you and have a good day.